Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another special edition of the show. This is Relax Radio, and you already know what you're about to see. A whole lot of positivity, a whole lot of information, and today we actually have special guests on board the show with us, and I can't wait to introduce all of you to them. I can't wait for to talk about what we have in store for you. We're going to be talking about so much, especially when it comes to the Baha'i community. But let me not delay that any further. Let me get right into it. Ladies and gentlemen, can we please welcome on board the show Adele, Michelle, and of course Najis. Hi guys, how's it going? How are you feeling?
Good. Hello.
Good, good.
Good.
Thank you.
Wonderful.
On the
Thank
28th
you
of
for having
November,
us.
what do you say, Adele?
Thank you for having us on the
Of
show.
course, it's a pleasure having you on board the show with us. But I gotta ask you guys, on the 28th of November, we're gonna be celebrating the centenary passing of Abdu'l-Bahá. And it is definitely something we all need to be celebrating. I mean, we know his history, we know what he's been through. We know how he fought for his community, making sure that he led us towards a better path. And look at where the Baha'i community is right now. And we definitely just want to make sure we talk about him, his celebrations in life, and all of his achievements, his examples, everything he's set forth for us. So let me start by getting a quick introduction of yourself. Najis, if you could please tell us who you are.
Hi, my name is Nargis Harris, and I'm from USA, currently staying here. I do like to serve, be socialized and serve people across the world. I'm a bilingual, multilingual, so translation is
Nice.
one of my
What are the
forte.
languages you know?
I know Urdu, Bangla, Hindi, and so
Wow,
I
okay.
do hello.
Brilliant.
This,
And Michelle, do tell us about yourself, please.
Thanks. Yeah, I'm a member of the Baha'i community in Tower Hamlets in London, and I work in HR.
Okay. And Adele?
So my name's Adel. Originally grew up in Dubai, United Arab Emirates, and then moved to Canada 10 years ago. And I'm currently in London, UK. I just actually finished my master's this Friday in physiotherapy. And
Wow, okay.
yeah, I'm a
That's
member of
great
the
news.
Baha'i faith as
Well,
well.
that's amazing. I mean, all of you are definitely excited to talk about what we have in store for you today. So let's kick things off. All right, we're talking about how Baha'is are commemorating the centenary of the passing of Abdu'l-Bahá around the world. And Baha'is all around the world are currently celebrating this. Baha'is all around the world are currently making sure that they do what it takes to pretty much celebrate and live by the example that has been set. Adil, could you please tell us about your experiences and how the examples and teachings of Abdu'l-Bahá has got us to where we are today?
Yeah, so actually, it's a very special time because Baha'is all around the world are actually celebrating this. And it's so cool to see how people from all the different parts of the world are actually celebrating the commemoration, are celebrating the life of the passing of um, Abdu'l-Bahá. And everyone in different communities will be having little gatherings where they come together and invite everyone within the communities. So it's a very special time.
I mean, everybody is definitely looking forward to what we can achieve themselves. I mean, if someone like Abdul Baha was able to set the example, if he was able to make sure that he fought for his community, he sacrificed so much of his life. He was in prison for 40 years. Can you imagine that after being imprisoned, being let out, after pretty much going through all of that incarceration and all the hardships that life threw to him, he still found that kindness in his heart to make sure he does good for the community. Najis, I'm sure you have a lot to contribute towards that.
Thank you. Yeah, when you said that, after going through 40 years of imprisonment, still he had a happiness and joy in himself and for the world. So he set a good example. He answering to one of the question in his life, I found very amazing thing. He said, happiness is not the state of your physical state; it is the inner being. And so he taught us through his living legacy that even though he had to be in prison with his father, Baha'u'llah, for reason of the government that exiled them from country to country,
Yeah.
with all the physical poverty, inner happiness, joy was always there. He was known in his land where he was imprisoned in
I mean, he was
Israel.
known for giving out money, food, clothing to those in need. I mean, how do you find that kind of heart after going through everything
Father of
that life
glory.
has thrown towards him? I mean,
Yeah,
don't you agree when it says that you
yeah,
definitely need a lot more than just a kind spirit. You need a big heart. You need to have a heart of gold to be able to do something like that.
That's so true. That's so true. And my piece of learning from his lifestyle is very amazing. He said, "We human being are spiritual being, and we have a two entity. One is a physical that we live our life in this world with the physical thing. We see, we hear, we eat, we sleep, we breathe, just like the everything else we need. We do have also a soul which has a spiritual life, and it has a power of its own. If we govern ourselves with the spiritual capacity and virtues, we can overcome the physical, the
Definitely.
hardship. Yeah. So that was
I mean,
wonderful.
Michelle, I need to know what you're thinking right now. I need to know how you feel about celebrating the centenary of the passing of Abdu'l-Bahá. I mean, what have you learned from his experiences? What have you gained when it comes to the knowledge that he has shared with the community? And not just for the Baha'i community. I feel like the examples that he has set, the life that he has lived, can be an example for all communities around the world. Don't you agree?
Yes, you're right. Yeah, no, totally. So I mean, Abdu'l-Bahá lived an exemplary life, and that's why he's often called the exemplar, because
True.
he really, he lived. So he passed away 100 years ago. So we're commemorating that, but we're really celebrating his life because he really led a life of service. He was a champion of justice, of racial unity, of world peace, of the equality of men and women. And if you imagine this 100 years ago, those were really new concepts. So, like today, it's more easier to think about the equality of men and women, but imagine 100 years ago, it was such a new thing. And he really
Exactly.
championed it. Um, and he was always there for serving poor people, because he was in prison in Palestine. At that time, it was called Palestine, which is today's Israel.
Yeah.
And
That's a whole other topic, but let's not get into that right now.
yeah, just just saying what
Yeah.
the names are today. But so at that time he was in prison in Palestine, and but yet he always found time and resources to help people who were less
In
well
need, who
off,
needed his
to the
help.
point that he even shared his own clothes with people who needed them.
Wow.
Yeah.
See, I mean, it's not that he went through imprisonment. After imprisonment, he had to go through World War One as well. Like,
Mm.
Adil, you gotta let me know. When it comes to perseverance, when it comes to the strength, when it comes to the mindset that he had and he went through, how do you think that helped change, and how do you think that helped build your life right now?
Yeah, so actually, it really has really given me purpose in life and really helps me sort of like him being a perfect exemplar and seeing what he has gone through has really shown me what really matters in life and how I really need to focus on being more selfless, not always like thinking about me, but how I can really help others, or be of service to others. And it's really easier said than done, but just reflecting on it every day and also getting involved in community building activities that Baha'is are involved in throughout the world. That's how I show my way of being of service to my community. Um,
Right.
so, yeah.
When it comes to you, Adil, you've actually been very involved with the Bai community for the past 10 years, if I'm not mistaken. You've been especially working with adolescents, and you want to help them empower to be changes for the future. You want to help them be the driving force towards the future of humanity. So, when it comes to
Yeah.
this, the principles set by Abdu'l-Bahá, which teachings of his have you used to pretty much make sure you help pretty much change the future when it comes to the youth, especially?
Yeah. So actually, one specific quotation that I always keep in mind is one of the writings of Abdu'l-Bahá, where he says, "Let your heart burn with loving kindness for all who may cross your path." So like, for instance, that's one of the things we study with these adolescents and teach them how they always have to prefer others over themselves. And this, they actually do this through putting it into action. So one of the main things where we have been doing with them is helping them identify how they can be of service to their community. So they sort of like plan a service project, whether it's helping the poor or the elderly in the community. And as like mentors, like animators, we support them in doing that. And that really teaches them how to be of service and be selfless in a way.
Very true. I mean, his teachings do up to date still give us a lot that we can learn from. But I want to talk about his father. Now, when it comes to Abdu'l-Bahá, he was anyway an exemplary figure in the Bahá community. Everybody knew him, everybody knows what he fought for, everybody knew what's been done. But we all know that his father is actually the founder of the Baha'i faith. His father is actually somebody who set the founding stones for him to pretty much go on in his dreams and fight for what he believes in. Najis, you gotta tell me, what do you think that is? Do you think when it comes to family, do you think this kind of trait is passed down from generation to generation? And if so, do you think that the descendants of Abdul Baha still would do the things they're doing right now? And if so, what are they doing? And what would you
That's such
feel
a
about it?
wonderful question you asked. As Baha'is, we believe that Baha'u'llah was a divine teacher for this day and age for all human beings, and that Baha'u'llah, when he proclaimed his message in his country, he was exiled because the peace message was not accepted fully by many people, and country to country and place to place he went. But wherever did he go, when he has his divine words and the words of peace and unity was accepted, and the followers grew in number, and that's how again he kept getting exiled from one country to another country, finally ended up, we call it a holy land. So it's very universal, and you will see that in the history of universe, when Baha'u'llah came proclaimed his message in 1863, it was very new to mankind. The unity of mankind was new to people, equality of man and woman, education for all, everything was so very new. And Abdu'l-Bahá, his son, who chose the one title for himself, is Abdu'l-Bahá, is Arabic word. It means servant of Baha. He just wanted to serve the teachings that was brought by Baha'u'llah to this universe. And because these words were divinely ordained, it was all divine words, it had the power and effect. One of the example I tell you that when Baha'u'llah was thrown in prison, he, as a prisoner, many historians who were not even Baha'i back then, they were, one of those um, very historian people of journalists and all. They went and
True.
they have given a comment that the key to the world peace lies in the hand of a prisoner who is in Akka that time, Akka. And so
Okay.
he wrote kings and rulers of that age the letter asking that this is a time for universal peace, and if it is not achieved by understanding, then mankind is going to suffer. And soon enough, you can see in the history, we did start suffering with World War I, and then Abdul Bahá picked up as trying to serve every bit of the knowledge that he received from his father. He considered him as a divine teacher. The relationship of Baha'u'llah and Abdul Bahá was like divine teacher and a follower who lived the life of the teachings. And we Baha'is
He
around the world, we release that. Yeah.
He is. You definitely are right. He has been teaching, and he has been pretty much making sure we get our teaching sorted out for the past more than a century now. I mean, we're celebrating the century of the ascension of Abdul Baha, but you know that the teachings don't just stop there. They pass on from generation to generation. But since we're talking about the Baha'i community, since we're talking about the teachings that have been said, Michelle, I want to ask you what it is like when it comes to the Baha'i community right now, and what is the Baha'i community all about? What is it that they stand for, and what is it that they do? Please do enlighten us.
Mhm. So, as you know, one of the main principles of the Baha'i faith is the unity of mankind, and that involves the unity of all different races, different religions. So really, it's living a life of service to everyone, and working together as one. So the Baha'i community works a lot within neighborhoods all over the world. So the work that we do is quite local and international as well, but like everybody can play a part. So we have different neighborhood activities, such as the junior youth program that Adele mentioned. We have classes for children. So we really believe that as we are educated, in school, or as we, when we're children, we're taken care of physically, but we must also take care of ourselves spiritually, and that also already starts in childhood. So we have children's classes. that teach children about virtues. And then it goes up to the junior youth program that focuses on the power of expression, how you can express yourself at such a young age, how they can realize that they can serve their community at a young age, how they, how they really have the power to make a difference. And this also goes on then to something called the Institute course, which are a series of books about different topics that we study together. So topics like life after death or service to our community, we explore family life, things like that. So it really gives you like a spiritual foundation. It's really recognizing that material progress goes hand in hand with spiritual progress. So if we want to have better communities or a better world, we must care not only for our material well-being, but for our spiritual well-being as well. I can't hear you.
You couldn't hear me. I'm so sorry, but you guys can
I
hear me
can
loud
hear
and clear now. There we go. All right. Listen, when it comes to the Bahai community, it's not just one or two people that are interested in joining it if they are not part of it. But let's just say it's someone like me, someone who has no clue or no idea as to what exactly they have to do to be a part of this community or to help and pretty much see this community flourish. What does he or she do?
Yeah, so all our activities are open to everybody. And it's really, it's just if you have a desire to be of service to people around you, to build a better world, then you can join. And you don't have to be a Baha'i. It's really just this desire. Yeah,
Right.
and
Well, Michelle,
that's
you're
all.
of German and Persian ethnic background. You grew up in a whole lot of different countries. And you were
Yeah.
in Africa and Europe as well. And now you're in the
Mhm.
UK. But now, I just want to know when it comes to living in all these countries, when it comes to interacting with the Bahai communities from these regions, have you ever seen a difference as to how they treat you, or have they all been the same?
So that's a really good question, and actually, the beauty of the Baha'i faith is that it's so global, and wherever you go, you feel at home when you meet Baha'is because there's always a lot of love. So this love and this unity is always felt with Baha'is, and diversity is celebrated in the Baha'i faith. So we have Baha'is from all over the world. We have Baha'is as far as Vanuatu in the Pacific Islands. Um, as far as Chile. Everywhere in the world you can find Baha'is, and wherever you go, they will always treat you with love.
That's amazing. That's so nice to hear, and it's so nice to know. And it's also so good to know that when it comes to the Baha'i community, the teachings of Abdu'l-Bahá has not changed at all. It doesn't matter from which country, it doesn't matter from where, and it definitely does not matter to who it may go to. It's all the same for everything, and that's the beauty of the Baha'i community. But I want to talk more about when it comes to Abdu'l-Bahá and the life he has lived. I want to know the significance of what he has done. I mean, his community clearly is in awe of his work. His community is clearly in awe of all the things he has done. But Adil, if I were to ask you, could you tell me some of the significant changes that Abdul Baha and as well as the Baha'i community have done for the people or the community?
Yeah, yeah. So actually, Abdu'l-Bahá, from a very young age, he demonstrated praiseworthy qualities. He was known for his loving kindness, his selfless spirit of service, his generosity, especially towards those in need. And because most of his earliest life, almost 4 decades, he was in prison, right?
Yeah.
But despite such sufferings, he was known for his service to humanity. At the age of 64, when he was finally released from prison, that's when he started his travels to Egypt, Europe, North America to promote the Baha'i teachings. And he gave lots of talks and interviews on gender equality, promoting world peace, advocated for racial unity and social justice. So these were definitely some of the things he focused on. And there's one quote that I always think about that's from Abdu'l-Bahá, where he says, "To be a Baha'i simply means to love the world, to love humanity, and to try to serve it, to work for
Wow.
universal peace and universal brotherhood." So that's a very beautiful quote that I always think of when I'm
To be
sharing
honest, if I was
about
going to be
Abdul
really
Baha.
honest with you, if the whole world lived by that quote, if the whole world was able to pretty much just love one another, I feel like there wouldn't be any hate at all. I mean, until today, I'm getting to know a lot more about the Bai community, obviously, because of the place that I get to talk to you. But it's amazing to see that no matter what the community is, everybody just wants the same thing: to promote love, to promote happiness, and to promote kindness. They want to make sure everyone is happy. They want to make sure everyone is okay. And it can stem from the most unluckiest person who's had a lot of hardship thrown at him, who's gone through all the trials and tribulations of life, and still find that kindness within them to share their own clothes or their own food or their own shelter. I mean, all of us are blessed. We're all blessed right now. We have a roof on our heads, we have clothes on our feet, we have shoes on our feet, we have clothes on our back, we have food on the table. Everything is taken care of right now. Everything is provided for us, thanks to all the good things that are supposed to happen to us. We're blessed. But to those who are not, to those who don't have the opportunity to make sure that they even watch this video right now or to even be a part of this interview, I'm sure there's a lot that the Bai community is looking forward to do when it comes to Abdu'l-Bah's teachings. Najis, I have to ask you, tell me, what kind of teachings can we actually commemorate, or what kind of teachings can we actually take as per example to help those that are less fortunate? I mean, it's easy to say help the less fortunate, but how do we actually do it?
See, this is beautiful question again. Baha'u'llah said, let deeds, not words, be your adorning. And that principle, Abdul Baha lived his life. And while he was living his life, one of the slogans that touched my heart of many, he said, when a thought of war comes, oppose it with a powerful, he said, oppose it with most powerful thought of love. And then he said, abolish all kinds of prejudice. And these are the steps, these are the ingredients to help each other. And then strive that your action day by day may become a beautiful prayers. So service and being kind is not only to feel that I have extra money I need to give. It's also a generosity of heart, to be compassion, to show love for one another. Because if we extend our hold hands of each other and saying love, peace, and unity that we believe, internalize it, so much problem will be solved. Because we know the world is actually have full of resources. Its lack of equal distribution is causing what is right now all kinds of sufferings. We are getting there as we are striving and understanding. As Michelle pointed out, this is open for everybody. Teachings of Baha'u'llah is meant for the universe. It's not confined to one nation or one country, or even within Baha'i communities. The message of Baha'u'llah, we as Baha'is want to bring with an action, and we are striving. We are striving to do that. We are striving to understand that the cultural differences, language differences is something to appreciate, not to distinguish each other's, and not to push each other saying that you're different. The difference of all those things are created by Almighty God, which we can call in many different names, Allah, Tuhan, God, Bhagwan. But He is one. He loves to see the unity in diversity. We are all flowers, different flowers of His garden. Appreciating the beauty of the flower of diversity is what we are as Baha'is striving. So again, coming back to your question, I come from Bangladesh, and there also we are taking a lot of projects. Right now I'm in USA, but one of the project is cooperation, not competition. That's a slogan we are doing. Cooperate with each other and not be comparing to each other, so that we can give and take and be there for each other. So that's how the generosity is being practiced.
And that's how it should be. I mean, if we were all able to cooperate and not compete, wow, that would definitely be an entirely different world right now. And you're very true. When it comes to the resources that we currently have been given, we have the fortunate, then we have those that are not that fortunate. And like you said, Najis, there's no equal distribution. Not everybody has the resources or access to these resources. But then it's great to see that the Baha'i community is working tirelessly to bridge the gap that is missing right now. But even when it comes to Abdu'l-Bahá, I want to talk about his life and how, towards the latter part of his life, his older days, he still did not do the things that normal people would do. I mean, okay, Michelle, if I were to ask you, if we were getting old, if we were pretty much in our 80s or 70s, maybe even in our, I don't know, if we get to 90s, we get to 90s. Who knows? But when we get to that age, we just want to take that time to ourselves and just make sure that we relax with our family and just enjoy the time that we have left. But not Abdul Baha. Even towards his latter stages of his life, even towards the end, he apparently worked rigorously to set up an international framework for the Baha'i community. I
Mhm.
mean, how do you do that? How do you find the mental willpower to do that for your community?
That is a very good question. Um, but yeah, Abdu'l-Bahá, when he was released from prison, he was in his 60s, and then he made the journey first to Egypt, then to Europe, and then to
And
North
then to the
America.
West.
So he was
Yeah.
traveling for 3 years, and we all know at that time they didn't have planes. Plane was not a normal means of travel, so it
No
was all
planes at
done by
all.
ship. Yeah. So yeah, where Abdu'l-Bahá found the energy, I'm not sure I can tell you that, but it's really, I think it came from that spirit of faith and really his desire to be of service. Because his name also means the servant of glory, and that's all he wanted to do. He wanted to be of service, and he wanted to spread the teachings of Baha'u'llah to the world.
Very true. Adele, if I were to ask you, when it comes to what Michelle just said as well, when it comes to how he strived to make sure he lived the perfect example of life, I mean, yes, it does take the spirit from within. It does take belief. It does take a lot of mental willpower. But without humility, without having that, without being humble about it, you can't really achieve anything in life. You can't really walk around with that pride in your head. I mean, I'm pretty sure with the things that Abdul Bah did, he was able to live in luxury. I mean, with the people that he had helped, with the name that he had gained, he was able. I mean, as far as I know, he was even gifted a car from the Britons once, and he rejected that just so he could arrive at his ceremony in a simple wagon. I mean, that shows humility. That shows how humble he is. And do tell me what the importance is when it comes to being humble, especially within the Baha'i community.
Yeah, so definitely um, the one main thing is, for instance, there's this saying that says anything done in the spirit of helping others is considered service. So really your intention should not be to try and do good just to expect recognition or be recognized for what you're doing, but really doing it from the goodness of your heart. That's very important because a lot of times these days, unfortunately, a lot of people tend to do things just for like the fame or to be like recognized.
Something in return.
But yeah, exactly, expecting something in return. But if you're truly wanting to help, you definitely are doing it without expecting anything in return. Um, and that's one thing that we all strive to do, but it is difficult. And I'm just remembering where Abdu'l-Bahá, yeah, where he basically said, he said, my name is Abdu'l-Bahá, my qualification is Abdu'l-Bahá, my reality is Abdu'l-Bahá. So all of that is like his main goal was to be of service, and that's what we all strive to um, reach.
It goes to show that he really did live that life. He really did set that example. He was known as the man who led humanity to the way of truth, the pillar of peace. And at his passing, as far as I know, he had 10,000 people at his funeral. 10,000
Yeah,
people. That goes to show the number of people that really did care and listen to the teachings and the way of life that he lived. And it's crazy. I mean, would you imagine 10,000 people being at anybody's funeral right now? That
that,
sounds like a
that,
concert to
that
me, if I'm being
yeah,
honest.
yeah.
Don't you believe so?
That is a lot. And actually, during like at his funeral, he was highly praised and remembered as the one who led the way of truth and as a pillar of peace and the embodiment of glory and greatness. That's what he was remembered for.
That's amazing. That's brilliant. And I'm sure he's going to be known for a lot more as well as we go on with the future. Najis, you got to tell me, when it comes to his travels to the West, what is of significance and how do you think that really made the Baha'i community spread across the world? I mean, I'm sure it's because he traveled across the world that the Baha'i community is known to the extent that it is right now. But he, like we said, like Michelle said, he traveled to Egypt, he traveled to Europe, then he handed on to the West, and with all the countries that he pretty much went on over, and he spread the message of the Baha'i community. How do you think that affected the change of where the Baha'i community is standing at right now?
That's an interesting question, isn't it? So Abdu'l-Bahá, who knew little English, as you know, that he when he came
Wow.
to West, he did speak some English,
Yeah.
and amazed many people. So that's another aspect of him that many people didn't know. And he hasn't been to any school in this world, but he had the knowledge of a lot of different subject. And we know that one of his interviews with in America, that in the GE electric company, when the people were trying to show something and somebody was struggling to give an answer, and he just quickly gave the answer to, it was based on science, electricity science engineer. And the engineer comes and asked him, do you know everything? And he said, no, I don't know everything, but if when I want to know, I do get it. It gets to reflect the reply. And so when I read this story as me, Nargis, it became very inquisitive. What was the power in him that made him know all those things and the qualities that he had? One thing I found with my little knowledge is the purity of heart and spirit. He said, when your spirit is pure, I mean, keep yourself so pure and, like no prejudice, as we said, spiritual qualities, you uplift yourself that high. It's not far that you cannot see. Your intuition is sharpened, and you can get the divine, answers from there, the correct answers from where you want the divine ordained. And so then his another explanation about peace and the life in this world. He said, we are born in this world as a journey. We grew up. We have to leave this world, whether you live 100 years, 60 years. So in this journey, we are from womb to tomb. That's even in English we can
Wow,
say,
I've never
right?
heard that phrase before, and I really
Yeah.
like that phrase.
So he said, we are going from womb to tomb. And during this journey, how trivial it is to fight for, this is my property, this is my country, this is my, which is a gift from God. We inherit nothing, because where you're born is destined by the Creator. You inherit the language, culture, everything from there. So it's a gift you're getting. Share it, enjoy it, and then proceed for the journey, the final. So that touched my heart, and that made me bring the Baha'i, enroll myself as Baha'i to feel that I'm a part of universe and enjoy the universe with everybody. And the day I have to say goodbye, I very lovingly say goodbye. And from that world to this world is not very far from each other. That's so beautiful.
Wow. That's really touching indeed. That really is honestly touching. And I am absolutely amazed at how the teachings of Abdu'l-Bahá has gotten the Baha'i community to where we are today, to where we spread nothing but joy, peace, love, and happiness. And of course, the teachings and examples that have been set by the Baha'i community. To those of you watching, you are now watching the celebration of the extraordinary life that is set by Abdu'l-Bahá, and we will be talking more about this. We have a special feature where we're going to be having a song that is definitely very, very, very exciting to look forward to. But for now, what I want all of you watching to do is to go ahead and drop in your comments. Drop your comments, drop your answers, whatever it is you need to know, just let us know. You know the numbers. All you have to do is pretty much go ahead and call 07852 473 473. Call those numbers and let us know what you're feeling. Let us know how you think. Let us know how the Baha'i community has changed your life. I mean, it's not just us. You can let us know how you feel as well. In the meantime, download the app. It's available for free, by the way, on the Google Play Store and the Apple App Store. So all you have to do is go ahead and download that. But for now, before we give you that song, we're going to move into a small break. Don't you dare go anywhere. Make sure you stay tuned right here on Relaks Radio. Ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. You know who we are. Relax Radio is what you're now tuned into, and we are giving you something that's completely different from what you usually would be looking forward to. We're not your usual talk radio station. We're not your usual radio station. We're something different, and we're going to give you something that's beyond frequencies. So, welcome back to the show. Here we are celebrating the extraordinary life that has been lived by Abdu'l-Bahá, and we have with us today a special guests actually that have been with us throughout the show, sharing their opinions of the show. Hi guys, how's it going? Welcome back. I mean, we've been talking quite a lot about the life and the teachings that have been set by Abdu'l-Bahá and how his journey has inspired not just a few within the Bahai community, but everybody around the world. So what we left things off was we pretty much spoke about how he lived his life and how even towards the end of his life he still made sure he fought vigorously towards the Bahai community, towards his people. We spoke about how his travels to the West has definitely inspired a lot of people around the world to help grow the Bahai community. But now we want to talk about how his activities or how the Bahai activities focus on building communities and bringing change from within the community. But before we get into that topic, we have another guest on board the show with us that is going to be giving us a special song that we were all looking forward to. Hi, Yusuf. How's it going? How are you feeling right now?
Hello, I'm good. Thank you very much for inviting me.
No
So I'll
problem
be,
at all. It's a pleasure having you on board.
thank you very much. So I'll be chanting a prayer, actually, just to help us serve the community better. So I hope you guys enjoy.
Brilliant. It's all you.
من أنت كافيه لا حزن له وما أنت حافظه لا فناء له من أنت كافيه لا حزن له وما أنت حافظه لا فناء له وما أنت ناصره لا ذل له وما أنت ناظره لا بعد له فاكتب لنا حينئذ كل ما أنت عليه واعفو عنا ما كنا عليه فاكتب لنا حينئذ كل ما أنت عليه واعفو عنا ما كنا عليه إنك أنت رب القوة والعزة رب العالمين إنك أنت رب القوة والعزة رب العالمين إنك أنت رب القوة والعزة رب العالمين.
Wow, amazing. I feel like we need to give you more applause. I mean, that was amazing. That was absolutely great. Yusuf, before you go anywhere, you gotta tell us what was the meaning of that song? What did it transpire? And what was the inspiration of that prayer, actually?
So it's actually a prayer. It's a quotation. So it's actually quite difficult to literally translate because it's quite poetic. But it actually talks about God and the qualities of God and how He's like the protector of everyone. He's like the all-forgiving, the most powerful, the most bountiful, and the most giving. It's just really talking about the qualities of God and actually also the qualities of Abdu'l-Bahá. So yeah.
That was beautiful. Thank you so much, Yusuf, for being a part of the show. And we're looking forward to a lot more from you when it comes to the Bahai community, when it comes to music, when it comes to poetry. That was very soothing, especially for the year. And being a Muslim myself, I actually recognize a few words that did sound very soothing. So it's definitely a pleasure to have you on board the show with us. Thanks again, Yusuf. and we're hoping to see you soon. All right, so we're back, and wow, you guys, that was amazing. I mean, we had a song. We are definitely inspiring a lot of people who are watching this right now and who will continue to watch this video as well after we're done with the show, that will be inspired. And we spoke about all the trials and tribulations that when it came to Abdu'l-Bahá and the things that he went through. But I want to know, what is the Baha'i community up to right now? I mean, yes, we are celebrating the life that he has lived, but instead of celebrating it, we also need to be making sure we work towards striving towards making sure his teachings and his examples are set. So, Adil, do tell, what are we currently looking at when it comes to the Baha'i community and what they're doing within the community to build the community?
Yeah, so within the Baha'i community, there's lots of community building activities going on. As Michelle mentioned earlier, there's children's classes where actually it's open to all children, and it's basically the main thing about these children's classes is to instill in them these virtues from a very young age, like kindness, generosity, being loving, truthfulness. Because as human beings, all of us, basically we have these gems within us, these God-given qualities, and it's really the matter of helping them develop these qualities. And yeah, so basically that's one thing that's going on. And then there's the junior youth program. I'll just tell you a little bit about the junior youth program. So it's basically for adolescents between the ages 11 to 14. And this age is an age where they're not kids anymore, but they're not adults. They're in that transition where basically they have a lot of questions and they're trying to figure out lots of questions in life. So this program really helps direct their energies towards the positive things in society. Because as you know, there's a lot of negative forces today, especially in society. And a lot of times they can be influenced by those. So it's really to help them develop basically the power of expression, to be able to stand up for injustices, to be able to develop that selflessness, to be of service to their communities without expecting anything in return. And it's very beautiful because it doesn't require much. This program happens all around the world, and you don't need like a whole venue or anything. It just requires youth between the ages of 15 to 30 to help out with this program and guide the adolescents. So if there's any youth out there that also want to help out with the program, do reach out to any Baha'is in your community, and they will definitely be happy to take you through the process of becoming trained to become what's called as animator, which is like an older friend to the younger generation. And there's devotional gatherings as well, where people come from all different backgrounds and just get together and pray for the betterment of the community and the betterment of the world.
I
So
mean,
these are some of the things.
if we put it simply, Adil, if you just put it simply as to what you said, it's all about having that devotion. It's all about making sure everybody has that love towards one another. And it's not that
Yeah,
complicated. It's not that complicated at all. Anybody from around the world, it can be you, it can be me. All of us are able to make sure that we go ahead and make sure the Baha'i community is known across the world. I mean, we're already doing our part right now. We're already making sure we build within the community, and it's taking place right now. But Najis, I want to ask you, you're currently residing in the United States of America. You're currently doing a couple of community activities as well in the States, if I'm not mistaken. Can I know what are the Baha'i community up to right now in the US of A?
Same thing we are doing all over the world. We are doing, and it's very active project right now. And junior youth or empowerment, we call it junior youth empowerment workshop we have
Okay.
called. And in this workshop we have like arts, crafts, and science, that as we believe as our sciences uplift the world of being and are conducive to its exaltation. And as Baha'is, we believe knowledge is as wings to man's life and a ladder for his ascent. Its acquisition is incumbent upon everyone. So this is what we are trying to implement in our curriculum. We also have books for the literature compilation for adults, so nobody is going to be left behind in polishing ourselves. So there's going to be workshops, seminar continuously everywhere you tap it. In Bangladesh, also in US, where I am right now, we're having children, junior youth, and adult, and we also have a devotional uh, meetings or gatherings where we have friends of faith, not only for Baha'is but everybody else, invoke our spiritual life, try to prayers, meditation. The one you heard from Yusuf, similar kind of thing of different language, whoever can come across, to help us. Remember, as you said, that it's difficult. This is a material world. We get caught up with so many negativity, so many things, and as Baha'is, we're not immune to it. So we have to work and strive, as we use the word strive. And Abdu'l-Bahá said a very beautiful formula. He said, little by little, day by day. So do not give up. Keep striving for the betterment of the world. Do things. And so every educational curriculum is based on that. Right now, we do have some small areas where we call it a Baha'i Activity Center, where do get the groups of people. And during COVID, we started spreading like wildfire because of the Zoom. Electronic is such a blessing. So people across the world also sometimes join in a devotional, and we call it a book seminar, the Ruhi book seminar, this curriculum institute process, which basically means you go in depth of every small writings. As you said, that when Yusuf was saying the singing the song, it touched your heart because you could relate your belief. So it's so relevant for everybody. And those kind of relevance it attracts people. So we call it an institute. It's going around the world, all the Baha'is, inviting people who are like-minded, want to share and spread our wing for joy and peace and love and unity. That foundation we are working here too. Thank you. You are muted. I can't
Sorry, we
hear
can't
you.
hear you.
Yeah.
If you give out that positive energy, you'll definitely attract that as an energy right back, is what I was saying.
That's
And
the truth.
that's definitely a good thing. But you just mentioned about the prayer as well, Najis. And a couple of comments we've actually been getting from the viewers right now are these. I mean, do you take a look at this? They want to hear another prayer. I mean, Yusuf, if you are aware, I mean, I'm sure Yusuf's still watching this, but everybody wants to see another prayer from Yusuf and all those things. So we can definitely see a lot more of that coming. And what I do want to ask Michelle, though, is Michelle, you're currently working at an NGO. Could you tell us a bit about that, please? Can you hear us now?
Yeah.
Brilliant.
So I work for an NGO that works that does water and sanitation projects in Africa mostly. But I also wanted to mention just what Nargis was saying, that or also what Adel was saying, that all the Baha'i endeavors, or they're really there's this whole concept of empowerment of communities behind it. So when you're in a locality and neighbors and friends come together, and they have a children's class or they have a junior youth class, then they are nurturing the generation after to build stronger ties of friendship and stronger ties of community. And if you imagine different clusters of communities doing that, then you're actually empowering neighborhoods to care for themselves, and not only be reliant on other things. Like, it's also, so we've had examples of around the world where people have, as a service project, they've cleaned up the streets in their neighborhood, or they've planted certain crops. They've taught people how to plant certain crops that grow better during drought. So then this community was then able to sustain itself, for example. So these are kind of examples that we have where these activities that the Baha'is do, they not only nourish you spiritually, but also then it has an effect on the way that we live our lives and our material well-being as well.
True. That's great. I mean, it's good to see that these things are still affecting you when it comes to your personal and your professional life as well. I mean, it does affect us everywhere. But as we reach the end of today's show, I would like to know about the Tower Hamlets Bai community. what is going on over there? I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of activities taking place, a lot of activities that have been planned, a lot of activities that are also in the works. Can we know about what we can expect?
Yeah, so we have quite a number of devotionals going on, which are open to everyone. So, they're just spaces where people can read writings from different faiths or even from literature together, where they can pray together. It's just really a space where um, people can read some uplifting words and then also discuss them later on if they want. And we also have discussion evenings. So, those are on different topics, and we invite friends to talk about a topic that is close to their heart but that is also related to spirituality. So it's this is a space to express yourself, to talk about different things that concern us. And then of course this Sunday, actually, we have the centenary commemoration of the passing of Abdu'l-Bahá, which we will have an event for, which is also open to all. It's going to be on the Isle of Dogs. So we will just be having a program where we talk a bit about Abdu'l-Bahā's life, some of the teachings that he championed, and just overall to have a good time together and have some community time.
Right. Adele, would you like to add to that? I'm sure you know a lot about what's going on within the Baha'i community.
I actually have recently moved here, so Michelle would actually know more.
Right.
I've
Brilliant.
recently moved into this community, but we actually, at my place, every second week we have a devotional gathering, um, where my friends from university and from different areas around London come together, and we do pray together, and then nourish our soul, and then we have breakfast together as well, nourish our physical bodies. So
I mean, it's
yeah,
definitely great. It's great to see that the Baha'i community is affecting you so personally on an emotional level. And after I mean, right now, if I'm talking to you personally, if I'm talking to you honestly, I feel more enlightened myself. I mean, it's the energy that I'm feeling across screens, across countries, and here I am feeling the energy that the Baha'i community has to give. Before we wrap things up on the show, I want each of you to share a couple of words with not just the Baha'i community, but with the world on not just what the Baha'i community is about, but how you can strive to be a better person, not from just your heart, not just from your actions, but from within. And how can each person continue that and strive to continue that toward the rest of their life, just like Abdul Baha had taught us to. If I could please have
sure,
each
sure.
of you to please share a few words to our listeners right now, paying very
Yeah,
close
yeah.
attention to what the Baha'i community is doing. Najis, could we start with you, please?
Sure. I have one thing to say. We are created a noble creature in this world. We have a lot of power and energy untapped. With a spiritual energy, un- we can see the power and enjoy and give. So, spiritual education recognize that we are a spiritual entity, not just physical entity, and feed our soul with devotionals. And when we say about devotional, what we are saying is looking inner side more than what we are outside, and recognize that we do have capacity to do more than what we are right now seeing in ourselves. To be able to love has a stronger power than to sit with a prejudice by influence in the world at large. When we extend our love, we do receive, as you said, Abed, that when you talk about generosity and express generosity, you actually do get a lot than trying to with. And science, medical science is proving the same thing. They're saying to be have the attitude of gratitude, the same slogan, have the attitude of gratitude, as Baha'is are saying,
Yeah.
promote with a spiritual strength, you can achieve anything you want.
Anything is
Marvelous.
possible.
Anything
Anything
is
is
possible.
possible
Anything
indeed.
is possible.
That's great words.
Happiness is possible, as you said. Abdul Bahá at one time, they have no food but a dry wheat, powder his mother had to give him. And at that condition also, he said, you were happy. What was that? Is a spiritual contentment and the energy that he said, I can give whatever I have. And sure enough, he achieved. We can do that too.
Very wise indeed. Michelle, if I were to ask you, tell me, is there anything about energies that you'd like to share with your listeners right now?
I think it's important we all have a life to live on this earth, and it's really nice to find purpose. And I've always found that when we are of service to others, it really gives life purpose. So, even in our work, in our, the way we educate our children to be good people, the friendships we have, they all make a contribution to a nicer world. And that can be our contribution to the world, and that can also be our purpose in life, to be of service and to bring good to the world.
Do good unto others like you would do good to yourself. Definitely wise words indeed. Adil, would you like to add to that?
Yeah, and one thing I definitely always strive for is being in that state of reflection. So, reflecting on our actions daily, thinking about what things we have done good and trying to do more of that, what things maybe we weren't too happy about, or what things we can do differently, and working on that as well. That's how we tend to like grow um, spiritually, being in that mode of constant reflection and action. So that's another thing that I think everyone can benefit from, just thinking about your day and seeing what things can you change that you did, what things can you do better. Um, and I just remember this quotation saying, "Let each morn be better than its eve, and each morrow richer than its yesterday." So just striving to be a better version of ourselves through helping others.
Wow. I mean, I would like to give a small suggestion myself. I feel like all of you should just come together and come up with a book of quotes that people can inspire themselves with, because I'm telling you, the words that you guys shared with me today, it's all about making sure you have the attitude of gratitude from womb to tomb. I mean, all those quotes are just, it's crazy. It's amazing. And I feel
But
really
these are,
enlightened myself.
sorry, if
Yes,
I may
Michelle.
say, these are quotes from the Baha'i writings, and you can look at www.baha'i.org, where you can read a lot of the quotes we just said.
There we go.
Can
Ladies
I
and
can I real
gentlemen, you
quick say
heard
another
Michelle
one?
herself.
Last one. Yeah, that's beautiful. Thank you, Michelle. That's the last one. Is strive that your action day by day may become a beautiful prayers. That's a slogan given by
Like
Abdul
Adil
Bahá.
just mentioned.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
You got
That's
to
one. Yeah.
reflect. You got to make sure you strive for the best, and you got to make sure that overall you are a good person. Thank you so much, Michelle, Adil, and Najis, for joining us
Mm.
on today's show. It was absolutely enlightening, and I learned so much about the bi community. And I'm sure there's a lot of more people that are going to learn so much from this conversation that we just had. And I can't wait to be a part of the next activity that you guys have lined up. I'm sure we have a lot more exciting things coming up. We will be celebrating the commemoration. We'll be celebrating the commemoration of the death of Abdu'l-Bahá, of the passing of Abdu'l-Bahá rather, and that's happening on the 28th. So I'm sure you have a lot of activities planned for that. I'm sure we have a lot that we'll be able to live stream and let the world know as to what's going on and what's happening and what's going down as well. And I definitely can't wait to see what we have in store. So once again, thank you guys so much for
Thank,
being here on
Thank
the
you.
show,
Thank you
Thank
for
you.
and
having us.
Yeah.
thank
no
you for
problem at
having
all.
us.
Thank you for having us. And
It's
we wish
always a
all the best
pleasure.
to your Relax Radio. Really
Of course.
relaxed me and made me very happy. Thank you.
Relax Radio is going to be going beyond frequencies, and I want all of you to make sure you stay tuned in. Once again,
Yes,
thank you
Will.
so much for being a part of the show, you
Thank you.
guys, and all the very best. And just like that, you guys heard it. You guys know what's up. That is the trio that we had today. We had Adil Mehdi, we had Michelle G, and as well as Najis on board the show with us. And all of you know what all of you know so much about the bi community. All of you know so much about what they're doing right now. You know which website to go on to and check out what they're doing. And all you have to do to find out more about interesting conversations just like this is make sure you stay tuned in right here on Relax Radio. You can join us live. You can go ahead and call us. You can call us on 7852-473-473, or maybe even go ahead and download the app. It's available for free. If you're on your phones right now, head on over to the Google Play Store, Apple App Store, download the app, take us with you wherever you go, and listen to us whenever you want to. Follow us on all our socials, on the gram, on TikTok, on Facebook, on YouTube. We are everywhere. And most importantly, make sure you stay tuned in right here on Relax Radio. My name is Abid. We'll see you soon. And like I said, stay tuned.